Week 4 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few wide receivers. I've had sleeper options this week. The first guy, Richie James Jr. of the New York Giants. So Richie James Jr. next man up now with Sterling Shepard out for the season with a torn ACL. So right here, Kenny Golladay, he's looked slow and unexpired so far this season. Kadarius Toney, he's been in the doghouse with the new coaching staff over there in New York. And Richie James, he's had a good rapport with Daniel Jones in the first 3 weeks of the season. Week 1 in Tennessee, 5 catches, 59 yards on 6 targets. Week 2 versus Carolina, 5 catches, 51 yards and 6 targets. And Week 3 versus the Cowboys, 5 targets, 4 catches, 36 yards. And now he'll be on the field more here for this New York Giant team. And as a third receiver in 3 receiver leagues or a flex option, I think for PPR leagues, he's a decent start this week. He's got a good matchup versus the Chicago Bears, where wide receivers have had good ball games versus them so far in the early going. So right now available in tons of fantasy leagues at 87%. If you need a wide receiver desperately this week, I think Richie James Jr. is a guy that could get anywhere from 8 to 12 fantasy points in PPR leagues and is a sleeper option this week. The next guy is Josh Reynolds of the Detroit Lions. So the Lions, a lot of injuries so far in the first few days of practice this week. Josh Reynolds last week had a nice ball game, and he returned to practice Thursday, which is a good sign. But DJ Chark and their star receiver, Amon St. Brown, has missed the first 2 practices of the week. So right here, Reynolds, 2 double-digit fantasy days in the first 3 weeks. Week 2 versus Washington, 3 catches, 38 yards, a touchdown. And Week 3 in Minnesota, 10 targets, which is a big number in that one, 6 catches and 96 yards. So right here, Week 4, if he's going to have a bigger role, if Chark or Brown are out, one of them, he's going to have a good ball game here. The Seattle secondary, we know, can't stop anyone. And with Jamal Adams out for the season, after getting injured in Week 1, that just opens it up more for everybody on this Lion team, especially Reynolds, obviously, if he's going to be the number 1 operating receiver this week here with all the injuries on the Lion team. But right now, I think Amon St. Brown, for some reason, still going to play. Chark's iffy, but either way, Josh Reynolds, third receiver or first receiver, he's a guy that I like as a sneaky sleeper option, and he's available in 97% of fantasy leagues. And the third and final wide receiver I have as a sleeper this week is Marvin Jones Jr., the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Jaguars, they've been playing pretty good football, no doubt about it, the first 3 weeks of the season, 2-1 on the season. And Marvin Jones, he's available in 95% of fantasy leagues, and he's a good veteran that could just run the routes. He'll get that clutch catch in the end zone when you need it. And right now, Zay Jones is banged up and questionable to play in Week 4. So the first 3 games of the year here for Marvin: Week 1 at Washington, 4 catches, 38 yards on 6 targets. Week 2 versus Indianapolis, 3 catches, 33 yards. And then Week 3 at the Chargers, 4 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown. So Trevor Lawrence, I like the way he's spreading the football out so far in the early going. And in the first 3 games, 18 targets, not bad for Marvin Jones. And if Zay Jones is out, obviously, he's going to get more targets. He's going to get more snaps. And I know this Philadelphia Eagles defense has played great football so far, but I think in this one, this could be a mini type of shootout where they have a good ball game, Jacksonville, and it might be close to the wire, but I still think Philly will win the game. But anyway, Marvin Jones Jr., he's a veteran. Him and Lawrence have good rapport from last season. And this week here, I think he's a good sleeper option. So that's a few wide receivers I have as sleepers here for Week 4 of the fantasy football season.